Okay, so I know we're 2 minutes till noon, but I was just going to introduce myself for those that are just joining or the ones that have been here all morning. I will reintroduce myself to you. But everyone, I am Megan McDevitt with Synergy Sales. I'm here representing NKBA. I have my co-host on the line with me, which is Ashley from the Fixture Gallery in Seattle. She's also a student member of IDS as well. And then we will, in a moment, I'm going to introduce Jake and Hazel from Wilsonart. But just a couple of housekeeping things to go over before we start. For you guys that have joined, you're already aware of this, but we actually don't have cameras or audio for you guys. So we do want you to participate using the Q&A and the chat function. We love the feedback and hearing what you guys are seeing and hearing and having questions. The more interactive we can get this, the better it is for all. So please utilize the Q&A and chat. Additionally, there's going to be a raffle at the end of this presentation, a $25 Starbucks gift card, which again, all these raffles, I'm very sad that I can't win any of them. Starbucks sounds delightful right now. I need that afternoon coffee pick me up soon. So we're going to get started. And that raffle at the end, if you are present, there's a little raise hand icon. So you just raise your hand when we call your name so we know you're on the line and you're present to win. So you get that gift card. So before we start, I'm actually going to introduce Hazel first because she is the local Wilsonart rep. So Hazel, I want you to actually introduce yourself to everyone here, if you wouldn't mind, so they can see your face as well.
No problem. Thanks so much, Megan. Hi, everyone. I'm Hazel Strickon with Wilsonart. I've been with Wilsonart for over 20 years, and I am just recently joined the residential team. So if there's anything I can ever do to help, please contact me.
Perfect. Thank you, Hazel. And now I'm going to introduce Jake, who will actually be presenting this afternoon. So Jake serves as the National Sales Manager at Wilsonart. In his role, he leads strategic vision for Wetwall waterproof wall panel system. That is really hard to say.
It's a mouthful.
Yes. Jake has been responsible for driving needs and requirements at Wilsonart. Jake holds his degree from Texas A&M University and his MBA from Texas A&M University of Commerce. He's also joining us from Texas this morning. So I would like everyone to welcome Jake. And Jake, it is all you. Take it away.
Thank you. Howdy, good morning, good afternoon for all y'all. For us, it's afternoon, so I'm just going to say good afternoon. Thank you for joining us today. We're going to go over Wetwall, a Wilsonart company. And this is a new product for Wilsonart, and we're truly excited about it. We'll go ahead and jump to the next slide, please. So today, we're going to talk through why Wetwall, what makes Wetwall unique, and how we can use it within a wet space. We'll talk about the panels and the configurations, and so y'all can start designing in your head, so to speak, of how these will come together. And then we'll open it up for questions at the very end.
And now, Jake, I know we do have a poll that we were going to launch, and just to get an idea from everyone on the line here, let me launch this poll before we start into the presentation. So this is a little test of knowledge for everyone. If you could select all materials needed to achieve a truly waterproof wall tile installation. And it is multiple choice, so you can pick more than one. So grout tile, thin set, waterproofing, or backer board. You could answer what you need to make a truly waterproof wall tile installation. Check all that apply. Let's test your guys' skill level here. Get a few more. We'll give you a few more seconds to get your answers in. Let's see. I know we can get a few more. Come on, guys. I know you can do it. Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to end this poll and show you guys the results. If you want to walk them through the correct answers.
All right, so it looks like there's a pretty good majority of y'all think that all of them need to be used for waterproofing, and you're correct. In fact, when we start talking about Wetwall today, we'll focus on how ours differs from your wall tile, especially for the grout and all the additional adhesives, waterproofing, and backer boards needed. Great job, Megan. Thanks for showing that.
Perfect.
All right, so we're going to get into it. Wetwall is new for Wilsonart here in the States, but in fact, it's not new. We have been using it in the UK now for about 25 years. We have not only a facility in the UK, but we have it also in Germany and France, who have been using panels in this form and fashion within the wet space. As you can see here in this picture, if you look through it, you're not going to see any grout lines, because we went back to the drawing board and we created a beautiful wall panel system that is waterproof, that can be specified both within and outside of the wet areas. So let's get into those 5 value propositions too. So right off the bat, Wilsonart is a fashion company. So Wetwall carries over that fashion name. We've developed 8 beautiful trend-aware designs that fit not only the popular materials that are going into the bath, but also those that, as they come out, we'll be able to match with it. The performance of our panels is unsurpassed by any of the other panels in this wet space. In fact, we have a patented system that's not only waterproof, but we also have antimicrobial and our patented scratch and scuff resistance on the face of the panels. The ease of installation is what all of our installers and our fabricators key on. In fact, when you compare it to a standard tile installation, we beat them both in time and effort. The low cost of ownership is what homeowners can look into when they have a nice, beautiful remodeled bath space. The grout-free surface doesn't require that extensive cleaning that's required for grout. And also, you don't have to worry about using any kind of harsh chemicals. The majority of the time when it comes to cleaning, it's rather easy. And then finally, availability. It's all right. The availability of our panels, because everything is made here in Temple, Texas, we have a very, very short lead time that we pride ourselves on. So when it comes to the fashion and inspiration, we've actually keyed in on 8 luxurious designs. These designs fit a whole wide range of decors for your bath space. Our solid white here for the Aria white is perfect for a nice clean look, but we've also introduced new materials into this bath space. If you notice the freestanding tub right there with those wall panels behind it, that's the Wetwall's Legacy Ash. Beautiful wood grain design and a wood grain texture, which in essence is bringing wood into a wet space. We also have some of the classic designs like a Calcutta marble right there in the second row, and a Tyrone marble, which is more of a lighter, less veiny type of design. Overall, these 8 designs, as I said, not only works within the bath and the wet area space, but also works with those popular bath materials, just like the Growy, the Delta, all of those faucets. Not only is one perfect for matte black, but as we saw with that earlier Ferguson presentation, all of their new finishes would be beautiful with all of ours.
Now, Jake and or Hazel, where can designers see the samples of this? Is there somewhere locally that they can actually physically see this versus on screen?
So we have samples both in our Kent, Washington location and also through our independent distributors, both in Kent, Washington and also Portland, Oregon.
Perfect. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Now, when it comes to the performance of the product, it is a patented system, as I mentioned, and there's 3 keys to this patent. First is going to be the core itself. So I have a small sample here on my screen. What you're looking at is not MDF. It's not particle board. In fact, it's a plastic wood composite core, similar to what you'll find in your Trex decking. This core is extruded similar to a piece of plastic itself. So it gives you that nice waterproof attribute for it. We also have our tongue and groove system. Similar to what you'll find in the flooring, we've actually put it on a vertical application. So the tongue and grooves allows you the flexibility to continue to build within that wet space and minimize these seams, or actually hides the seams. I'll do a quick little magic trick that I like to show. So here we got 2 separate panels. Magically, they come together as one. Look at that. And the seam virtually disappears.
I'm pretty impressed you did that well in front of your face too.
Oh man, come on.
That was pretty
easy. Next on our patent is our beautiful bullnose edge. This eliminates the need for any additional strips, parts, any of those that you would use to cap the raw edge of tile or some of the other wall panel systems. So through and through, these three key attributes give us that patent that nobody in the United States, nobody in the UK, nobody in Canada can come close to. As I said before, on the next slide, we've also included antimicrobial protection and then Wilsonart's very own EON, which is an enhanced scratch and scuff resistant technology on these panels. Every one of our designs will have these automatically in it. It's not going to be an upgrade. We wanted to make sure that what we provided is perfect for the wet space. So using silver ion technology, it helps inhibit the growth of stain and odor causing mold, bacteria, mildew on the actual surface itself. And then our EON gives you that scratch and scuff resistance, just like what we have for all of our high pressure decorative laminate countertops and all of our other vertical applications. And lastly, the whole panel system itself, it is waterproof and we can put it in the wet space.
So Jake, could you just clarify a little bit further about the material itself? Like we understand the wood plastic composite portion, but like what are the layers that we're seeing exactly?
So what you see here is our wood plastic core, our WPC core, with our high pressure decorative laminate bonded to the face, and then a deco white bonded to the back of the panel itself for balance, okay? So our decorative face does contain the antimicrobial and the EON scratch and scuff resistance to give you that beautiful, durable finish.
Perfect. Thank you.
Excellent.
And then someone's asking also while we're talking about the material itself, how does it compare with installed tile walls in a shower system? So
Compare in which way? For the application, the time, the effort?
Judith, do you have how they're compared? I'm guessing
Clarification.
probably price point. That's what they're looking for. It's more of like the price point.
So when you break up tile, there's usually 3 levels of tile. You have your base tile, which is going to be your white, your subway tiles every day, the 3-inch by 6-inch. We don't compete there. Where we compete is more along the mid-range tile, where you have the more luxurious designs that are getting larger and larger in format. If you look at tile today, I bet you're specifying 24 by 24, 48 by 24, even full panels. That's where we're able to compete against because ours has that same look.
Awesome. Okay. And then just a few more questions before we move on to the install portion. Are there different sheens available?
So for those 8 designs, each one has their own finish on each one of them. So some might have a stone finish, others might have more of a striated finish on it, and then our wood grain has a wood grain finish on it. So you can actually feel a wood grain pattern to it.
Oh, okay. And then how thick is that composite board as well?
Perfect. So that's going to be 11 millimeters or just under a 1/2 inch thick.
Perfect. Okay.
All
So
right.
I think we'll let you continue on with it.
Oh.
We do have a lot of questions. They're very excited about this. So we'll let you keep going into the install of this product, and maybe some of these will get answered, and we'll loop back around.
Correct. Thank you, Megan. So when it comes to the installation of this, these panels can be easily installed using standard woodworking tools. The installers do not have to go out there and invest in any kind of new machinery, new tooling than they have as they're installing your cabinets or even your vanities right now. In fact, our panels can go over a number of substrates, whether it's for remodeling or new construction. You can go over your water-resistant gypsum board, your cement backer board, plaster, fiber board, standard gypsum board. In fact, we've actually have applications where our panels can be used going over existing tile. Now, I throw a little asterisk next to tile because you're only as good as the substrate you're bonding to. So if your tile's falling off the wall, this isn't going to be some kind of magical solution where your tile's automatically going to stick. So keep that in mind when you're looking at going over tile. Ultimately, we have a industry, or actually an aerospace, automotive, and marine grade panel adhesive that we use to go over those various substrates. And then our color match sealant of the same formula has a beautiful pigment in it to match a number of our decors. In fact, the panel adhesive and the color match sealant is not like what you'd be able to get out of your standard big box stores. It's not a siliconized product. It's a much more industrial strength product. When it comes to the low cost of ownership, we have touted using high pressure decorative laminate on horizontal surfaces for over 50 years. We're taking that same performance and moving it into the vertical application. Again, there's no grout lines for this. You can get panels from 60 inches all the way up to 96 inches, which eliminates the need for any grout lines. So without the grout lines, you don't have that extensive and intensive cleaning that's needed for them. Also, when it comes to cleaning the panels, oftentimes just warm soapy water on a regular maintenance cycle works perfectly to clean this. Now, if life gets in the way and, tennis, or you just don't feel like cleaning your bathroom as often, you can use your standard under the counter cleaners that you're using right now. The only thing we say is don't break out the Brillo pads or your steel wool.
I'm going to ask a few questions here. When you mentioned 60 to 90 inches, were you meaning height or were you meaning width?
In height.
Height.
Yeah. So Ashley, great question. Can I hold you on to this next slide and I'll answer all those size questions?
Yes.
Yes. Look at that. Perfect segue. Guys, we didn't plan this. She's asking those questions on her own. So when it comes to the panel availability, we can make panels from 8 inches wide all the way up to 60 inches wide. Okay. We can also do in 60, 72, and 96. So if you have an application that you need a bullnose edge on one side and a tongue on the other, we can actually make that from 8 inches all the way up to 60 inches. If you're looking at covering a massive space like 60 inches by 96, you can get a tongue and a groove and you can continue to click those together, minimizing those seams. And then you can cover 60 inches or 120 or 180 and so on. We can make any of these edge configurations or panel configurations here in Temple, Texas, and still hit a rather quick lead time. We're touting the 7-day manufacturing lead time. So it's not like you're going to be waiting for months once you have this specified. These panel configurations vary. You can see the top 4 are what you'll find in most standard bath and shower surrounds. Your bullnose edge and your flat edge are going to be for your wing walls where you have your faucet and your shower head. That tongue and groove panel, that usually goes for the back. You can either get them tongue and groove for the ease of portability, or you can get a standard full 60-inch flat edge to go on the back itself. Those tongue and grooves work perfectly if you're working in an upstairs or multi-level house to where you need to get those through the stairwell without damaging the product itself or putting holes in that stairwell as you're going up. So you can use those for either or. Now, moving down to the last 4 panels, those are more the made to order. Those are going to be more specialized to where you use the tongue and groove like that first panel for the flooring, but putting it on a vertical application. Then instead of using a Schluter strip or some other end cap, you can use what we call the finishing panels, your tongue and your bullnose or your groove in your bullnose to cap that runoff. Or if you just want a freestanding feature wall, you can put a double bullnose edge at the end and then have it as a feature wall itself. So these panels are very versatile. I personally like to think of them as Legos. Being able to use a number of these panels and being able to not only get your standard bath and shower surround, but adding on even more of these standard panels to do additional walls. Just like what we saw on the very first one, you can put these panels both in the same color or coordinating colors together of Wetwall and cover your entire wet space. So overall, this is a quick 17-minute guide on Wetwall. We do have some application images here at the end if anyone's interested in it, and we can go through that. If not, we'll open it up for questions.
So I'm going to show some pretty pictures. We do have lots of questions. So Ashley, you want to?
Yep. So if it's a few of these are pretty similar, all to do with install or ripping it out. Can it be used outside?
So at this time, we do not recommend using our panels outside. It's not that the panels themselves as a whole will not hold up. It's in fact, we do not have a UV protectant on it, so your color could fade over time.
Does that have any effect if you had, say, like sunlights or things or natural light, or is that a little less of a concern?
It's less of a concern because most modern day windows have a UV protection on it to protect that incoming UV to make it dull, to dull the color.
And then two of these are a little bit similar. They're asking about the lifespan of Wetwall, and if, let's say it's ripped out during a remodel, what's the end life for it, given that it's a plastic wood composite?
Are we talking about the life cycle of the product itself, or the durability and like a warranty for it, or both? Or should I just
both? Let's say both.
Well, we'll start with the warranty. So we have a base 10-year limited warranty on that. Depending on who we certify as a platinum installer, they can actually give a platinum installer, which gives you the limited lifetime. On commercial applications, we're standard with a lot of the additional wall panel systems out there for 3 years. Now, for the life cycle of the product itself, it is a plastic core composite. We have had instances where customers have been able to submit those to have those recycled or chopped down to fill it. Now, keep in mind, the core itself is about 95% plastic, 5% wood. So you'd have to check with your local regulations on what they can and cannot take.
Okay. And then is there any limitations to the kind of shower pan it could go on or be applied with?
That's a great question. So with our panels, the beauty of it is it can go on your standard preformed fiberglass or acrylic bath shower surrounds, or you can even go on tile, custom tile, the plastic ones that you can get it that you can go directly with tile over. Ours can be used in any form and fashion.
Perfect. Let's see. Do you have training materials for installers?
So we do. So we have a number of not only electronic, but we host a number of trainings throughout the year. COVID has kind of slowed us down on it. So we're doing virtual trainings, which we perform once a quarter.
Okay. And then I think the last one, I think you might have touched on this before, but is the bullnose edge the only finished edge? Is Schluter or similar the recommended finish treatment?
So right now, the bullnose edge is the recommended edge that we have on it. You can use a Schluter strip if you determine that it is a necessity for it. So Megan, if you can go down to the middle school, it's the very first one in our appendix itself. And I'll give a little background on that. This is where they've actually, right there, perfect. So what they did here is this was actually our very first commercial job, and it was done in a 2-month time frame. The job was specified to start in a July time frame and needed to be finished before school started in August. They opted to go over the existing tile in the locker room because the tile and the actual locker room was built in the 70s. So imagine all kinds of building materials that were used back in the day. So in order to keep the installation and the project moving, they opted to go over with it. Now, because this is a locker room, instead of using the bullnose edge to make that external or that 90-degree turn, they opted for Schluter edge. That gives it a little bit more protection. You think about junior high kids with football pads, helmets, sport equipment, baseball bats. You know they're going to take it out on the wall if their girlfriend breaks up with them. So having that extra protection on there helps. But you can mix and match our material with Schluter and some of the other edges out there.
Okay. And then there was a slide where you had kind of trimmed this out around a window. Mm-hmm. Is there any way to speak to that and how that application goes?
So because you can cut our panels with standard woodworking tool, you can use it to trim out the material. What they did, and I believe it's either this one, Megan, or the next one down. One more. There we go. So what they opted to do, in fact, is use a coordinating Wilsonart solid surface color to do both the window sill and the trim. But you can use our panels in a square window, not the arch window like you have here, as the inside of the window sill or the window treatment itself.
Wow. Is there, just to add on to that, just out of curiosity, so there's no limitation to how many holes you can penetrate through the wet wall?
So it is a waterproof panel through and through. So you can put holes in it, but make sure that that when you're putting in, say you're screwing in a grab bar or you're putting in a soap dish itself, that you use our color match sealant, which helps blend in, to fill it up so you don't get water penetration behind the wet wall panel itself.
And then do you have, what, is there an option for like a niche or like a,
So
is that something you're working on?
So you just ruined my whole next spiel. No, I'm just teasing. So right now, what you can do is there is a number of aftermarket glue and niches that are available now. Okay. Ideally, you want to look at those because those have the best opportunity to match the existing hardware you're putting in there, Megan. So say, for example, you've chosen a Growy shower head that has a beautiful matte black finish. They usually have a glue and shower niche that goes along with it. So if we were to try to inventory each and every one of those designs and each and every one of those flavors, we'd have to have a warehouse kind of like Ferguson to inventory all this. So we'll leave that up to those professionals so you can go after that. Now you can make custom niches using our wet wall panels and the bullnose edge by using that bullnose edge as the turn itself. If you, no, I don't have it. I used to have some examples of how you can do that. So teaming up with like Easy Niche or some of the other niche manufacturers that have that poly type polyform plastic that goes in there, you can actually cut our panels to fit that and use it for your niche, your walls and your back walls.
So basically there's a lot of customization that you can do is what I'm gathering here.
I could talk for days on the customization that we've seen.
Yeah, and so I know you kind of briefly touched on this earlier. Will you just go over again kind of how it prices out and the average square foot cost?
So what we've done is we've actually looked at 23 key markets in the United States, not only Seattle, but we looked at both LA, New York, Florida, Texas. We have a large number of both company-owned distribution and independent distributors throughout the United States, and we keyed in on those markets that they're in. We did our analysis and based everything on a per square foot installed price. Okay, so that's what your everyday homeowner is going to pay for it. And then we worked backwards. We compared to 3 different levels of tile. Then we brought in those basic white acrylic bath and shower surrounds. You know, those ones where you step in and you can hear it stretch and the fiberglass cracking. We compared those. We also then looked at some of the additional wall panel systems like Onyx and Kohler Choreograph. And then finally, we looked at some of the higher end when it comes to your marble and your quartz surrounds. We have positioned ourselves to be right there in the mid-range tile. If you were to look at a total installed per square foot that the homeowner will be paying, it's roughly about $20 per square foot. Once you back out all the labor and all the rest of it, we're comparable in that mid-range tile.
Awesome. And I know for anyone that has questions, because I know there was a lot of questions, Hazel did add her email address in the chat box. So if you have further questions or you're looking for samples, make sure you grab Hazel's email address from that and reach out to her so she can further assist. Before we go to the raffle drawing quickly, I did have a question. You mentioned platinum installers.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there a list that, is that something we could reach out to Hazel for as well, or?
So we're building out the Platinum Installer program as it is right now. A majority of our installers actually work for new construction. So if you do have an idea of it, let us know and Hazel will be able to connect you to our local installer.
Perfect. That sounds like get with Hazel with questions, everyone.
Hey, she's local.
Perfect. So I think that wraps up most of the questions that we had. So that was awesome. I'm very intrigued with this right now. So Ashley, would you help me out here? And can you help me draw for a $25 Starbucks gift card?
I sure will. Let's see. Spinning the wheel.
Got this, the fun spin the wheel app. It's like on Price is Right.
I know. Wish y'all could see this, but okay. It says, provided she's still with us. Oh, I don't think she is. Angela Garvin, is she still?
Angela, are you still here?
Raise your hand. I don't see it in our list.
No. I guess you have to spin it again.
Okay, then Stephanie Paulson.
Stephanie, are you here? You want to raise your hand? Oh, she raised her hand quick.
Yeah, nice.
Stephanie's here. So
She wants
Stephanie,
that
I
wine
will
coffee.
connect you with Jake and Hazel to get that Starbucks gift card. Thanks for attending. And thank you guys. That was really helpful. We really appreciated learning all there was about Wetwall.
Awesome. Thanks for attending, everyone.